What happens when America's pop queen takes on daytime TV's most controversial host and gets kicked off the set in front of millions? This isn't your typical celebrity spat. This is a high-stakes showdown that spiraled into live TV history. Before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button because the drama you're about to witness is just the beginning. Let's dive in. What happens when one of the world's biggest pop stars walks into a daytime talk show and ends up in a fiery face-off with one of television's most outspoken hosts? Not just awkward, not just uncomfortable. We are talking about a moment so intense, so unexpected, that it left the studio in total silence and had security walking Jennifer Lopez off the set of The View. This was not some overhyped tabloid story or a typical celebrity PR mishap. This was a full-on public clash, broadcast live, that stunned the hosts, the audience, and millions of viewers watching from home. It all started like any other media appearance. Jennifer Lopez was there to talk about her latest project. Nothing unusual, just another segment on The View, a show known for mixing laughter with heated debate. But what unfolded was something no one could have predicted. Joy Behar, known for her sharp tongue and willingness to challenge any guest, decided this was the moment to confront Jennifer with a controversial quote, one that would spark a reaction none of them were ready for. This was not a polite disagreement. It quickly became personal. Words were exchanged, voices raised, and something changed in the room. You could feel it, like watching a storm build. Live on air. What Jennifer said, how Joy responded, what happened next. All of it would go viral within hours and become one of the most talked about moments in talk show history. If you love truth bombs, media drama, and real moments in pop culture that no one saw coming, then you are in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, because what you are about to hear is wild from start to finish. Jennifer Lopez walked onto the set of The View like she had done it 100 times before, confident, composed. That famous smile lit up the studio as the audience welcomed her with loud applause. She looked sharp in a fitted blazer, her hair styled to perfection. Everything about her presence said she was ready to promote her latest project and keep things light. The energy in the room was warm. The co-hosts greeted her with smiles and small talk. Whoopi cracked a quick joke. Sarah Newton nodded along, and Alyssa Farrah Griffin leaned in with interest. At first glance, it felt like any other celebrity interview, nothing out of the ordinary. Jennifer crossed her legs, adjusted her microphone, and flashed that signature grin to the camera. She looked completely at ease. Joy Behar, too, seemed calm. She smiled as Jennifer sat down and made a light comment that drew polite laughter from the crowd. But behind the smile, Joy's hands were busy. She was shuffling through a stack of notes, flipping pages, highlighting something. She was not just glancing. She was scanning with purpose. To most people watching at home, it looked like everything was going smoothly. But if you were paying close attention, you could sense something shifting. The energy was not quite right. Joy was not making eye contact. Her body leaned forward just slightly more than usual. Her tone was measured, but had a hint of something colder underneath. Jennifer had no idea. She settled into her seat, ready to talk about her new film and maybe share a few laughs. She leaned back, smiled again, and waited for the first question. But what she got was not what she expected. And what happened next would change everything. Do not forget to subscribe if you have not already. This story only gets wilder from here. Joy Behar looked down at her notes, adjusted her glasses, and cleared her throat. The room was still buzzing from Jennifer's entrance, but you could feel something was coming. The other hosts looked relaxed, but Joy's expression had changed. Her smile was gone. Her tone was sharper now. So, Jennifer, she began, her voice calm but pointed. Let us talk about your recent comments on working mothers in Hollywood. Jennifer sat up a little straighter. Her smile faded just slightly, but she kept her tone friendly. Sure. What would you like to know? Joy picked up a printed page from her notes. She held it up like evidence. In an interview last month, you said, and I quote, "Some of these women hide behind motherhood when they should be pushing boundaries." The moment hung in the air. You could almost hear the audience inhale. The applause had stopped. The studio went quiet. Jennifer blinked, caught off guard. Then she leaned in a bit, keeping her voice steady. I think that quote is being taken out of context. Joy, what I actually said was that the industry needs better support systems for mothers. I was not attacking anyone. I was talking about creating space for women to succeed. Joy did not flinch. She tapped the page. These are your exact words, Jennifer. This is not about support systems. You said some women are using motherhood as a shield. That is a pretty strong accusation. Jennifer's expression changed. The warmth was gone now. She was not smiling. I'd have been in this business for over 30 years. I'd have worked through pregnancies, through tours, through press. I'd have earned every part of my career, and I never meant to judge anyone. I was speaking from experience. Joy leaned forward, eyes locked on Jennifer. But do you stand by what you said? Jennifer's jaw tightened. I stand by the message, but I also believe it was twisted to sound harsher than it was. The audience stayed silent. Tension filled the space between the two women. The other hosts shifted in their seats. No one interrupted. This was no longer a regular segment. It was turning into something else, something personal. Jennifer leaned forward, eyes locked on Joy, her voice steady but colder than before. She had heard enough. You are twisting what I said, Joy, she said. You are not interested in the truth. You are just trying to make a moment out of something that was never meant to be this. Joy kept her gaze, but there was a flicker of something, maybe irritation, maybe disbelief. She reached for another page and held it up with a smug sort of certainty. I am just reading your words, Jennifer. You made the choice to say them. If people are upset, maybe you should think about why. Jennifer's jaw tightened. Her posture shifted. This was no longer a back and forth. This was something deeper. You think I have not thought about it, she said. I'd have spent years balancing my career and being a mother. I have been judged for taking roles, judged for not taking roles. And now you are sitting here, trying to act like I went after women, when I was actually trying to support them. Joy tilted her head. Her voice dropped slightly. The tone changed. Support, she asked. Is that what you call it? Because, from where I am sitting, it sounds like judgment. And honestly, Jennifer, a lot of people wonder how you got where you are. Was it really just hard work? Or did your relationships help push you forward? The room fell silent. The other hosts froze. Whoopi looked away. Sarah sat completely still. Alyssa dropped her eyes to the table. The temperature in the studio dropped 10 degrees. Jennifer blinked. Slowly, her lips parted slightly, then closed. When she spoke again, the heat in her voice was gone. What replaced it was sharper, cooler, control. Did you just imply that I slept my way to the top? She asked. Joy shifted in her seat. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Jennifer shook her head once, then looked out toward the studio. Audience, this is exactly the problem, she said. You invite someone on your show, act like you want a real conversation, and then you pull a quote, twist it, and throw in a personal jab for good measure. That is not journalism. That is not accountability. That is petty. A few gasps came from the audience. Some people whispered to each other. The rest stayed completely still. Joy opened her mouth again, slower this time. I was just saying what people think, she said, her voice quieter now. You are a public figure. This comes with the territory. Jennifer looked back at her. No, Joy, she said. What comes with the territory is criticism. What should not come with it is people using their platform to spread lies and tear down everything a woman has worked for, especially another woman. The studio remained silent, and for the first time, Joy Behar did not seem so sure of herself. Jennifer did not flinch. She reached into her blazer pocket and pulled out her phone. The studio lights caught the silver edge as she unlocked it with one swipe. Her eyes never left Joy. If we are going to talk about what I said, she began, let us read it the right way. She scrolled for a second, then held the phone up. This is the full quote, word for word, from the actual interview. She looked down and read slowly, clearly. Sometimes I worry that women feel forced to choose between being good mothers and pursuing challenging roles. That is not fair. We should be building an industry where women can do both without judgment. The words hung in the air. A few people in the audience nodded. Someone murmured, wow. Jennifer lowered her phone and looked right at Joy. So where exactly, she asked. Did I say women are hiding behind their kids? Where did I call anyone lazy? Because that is not what I said. Joy opened her mouth, but nothing came out. She shuffled her notes again like she was looking for a lifeline. Jennifer took a breath and went on. You built this entire segment around a misquote, she said. Your team pulled a half sentence from a gossip site and ran with it. You did not read the full interview. You did not check the context. You just saw a headline and decided that was the truth. Joy shifted in her seat. Her voice came out weaker now. Well, The way it was framed, Jennifer cut in. Not harsh, but firm no. The way you chose to frame it. You had a choice, Joy, and instead of asking a real question, you went for drama. The camera caught Whoopi glancing sideways. Sarah looked down at the table. Alyssa sat back in her chair. No one spoke. Joy tried to recover. I just asked what people were thinking. You know how the public sees these things. Jennifer raised her eyebrows. No, Joy, you told the public what to think. You gave them a twisted version of what I said, and then doubled down when I tried to correct it. The silence that followed felt heavy. Jennifer looked at each of the other hosts. You all sat here while this happened. You all saw the notes. You knew this was wrong. No one met her eyes. Joy tried one last time. Well, maybe the team misunderstood. Jennifer shook her head slowly. No, they misrepresented, and that is a whole different thing. Joy sat stiffly, trying to keep control, but the words were not landing like before. Her voice had lost its sharpness. She leaned forward, forcing a small laugh. Jennifer, you are acting like a diva right now, she said. You are proving every stereotype about pop stars who cannot handle criticism. The room froze. The word hit hard. You could hear the reaction ripple through the studio. A few people in the audience gasped. Others just stared. Jennifer paused for a beat. Then, slowly, a smile crossed her face, but it was not her usual media-friendly smile. This one was calm, but firm, a different kind of power. A diva, she repeated. Her voice was low but clear. Let me tell you what a real diva looks like. Joy leaned back. The other hosts looked nervous again. No one interrupted. A real diva, Jennifer continued, would have walked off the set 10 minutes ago. A real diva would have snapped her fingers and let her team shut this whole thing down. She turned her Odie slightly, looking out across the table. But I did not do that. I stayed. I sat here, and I addressed every accusation you made, with facts, with respect, with patience. She looked right at Joy again, and instead of listening, you called me a diva, because I dared to defend myself, because I would not let you twist my words and attack my character. Jennifer's tone stayed even. She was not yelling. She did not need to. The room belonged to her now. Being confident is not being a diva. Speaking up for yourself is not being a diva. Setting boundaries is not being a diva. Her eyes moved across the room, landing briefly on each of the other hosts. What is happening here is not just about me. It is about every woman who has ever been told she is too much when she tries to stand up for herself. Too emotional, too sensitive, too loud. The studio was silent again, but this time the energy had shifted. Jennifer was no longer the guest on the defense. She had become the one calling out the game, and the audience felt it. Joy did not speak. She could not. At that moment, the power had fully shifted. Jennifer Lopez was in control, and everyone in the room knew it. Jennifer stood up slowly. She did not raise her voice. She did not need to. Her calm was louder than anything said all morning. She turned toward the cameras, her eyes focused, her voice steady. To the viewers watching at home, she began, I want you to understand something. What happened here today is not just about me. It is about what we allow media to become. The room was completely silent. Even the producers stopped signaling from behind the cameras. This show brought me on to talk about the struggles working mothers face in this industry. I came here to speak about how women are forced to choose between their dreams and their families. I wanted to highlight how we can do better, how we need support, not judgment. She took a step closer to the edge of the table, but that conversation never happened, because instead of asking real questions, this show chose to twist my words, to build a story that would create drama, not truth. Her eyes moved from the camera to each host sitting around the table, and when I defended myself with facts, I was called a diva. I was accused of sleeping my way to success. My work was reduced to tabloid rumors. Sarah looked down. Alyssa avoided eye contact. Whoopi just sat still, her face unreadable. This is what happens to women who speak out. Jennifer said, this is what happens when someone challenges the game. They are made into a headline. They are turned into a spectacle. She turned back to the camera one more time. There are people watching this who need to hear something real. Working mothers who are exhausted. Women in every job who are tired of being told they have to choose. I see you, and I came here to speak for you. She reached for her bag, slung it over her shoulder, and adjusted her blazer. I am done with this kind of journalism. I am done letting people twist the truth to sell stories. She walked toward the edge of the stage, heels clicking on the floor. Then she paused and looked back one last time. This platform had a chance to do something meaningful, but it chose the easy route. Drama over depth, noise over truth. I will not be part of that. And with that, Jennifer Lopez walked off the set. No more words, just silence behind her and a storm of questions waiting ahead. The moment Jennifer walked off the set, the studio stayed frozen. No one moved, no one spoke. Joy stared straight ahead, blinking. The crew looked stunned, and then almost too quickly the show cut to commercial. No outro, no music, just a hard break. Backstage, no one knew what to say. The audience sat in silence, some whispering, others reaching for their phones. And within an hour, that clip was everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. It spread like wildfire. A grainy fan-recorded video even showed Jennifer walking through the hallway, calm but clearly done. Online reactions came fast. Some people sided with Joy, saying Jennifer had overreacted, but a much louder wave came in support of JLo. Hashtags like #IST and with JLo and #accountable media started trending. Celebrities chimed in too. A few shared their own stories of being misquoted or cornered by talk shows. The View's PR team scrambled to put out a vague statement, but it did not help. Viewers demanded an apology. Headlines questioned the ethics of the segment. Commentators called it a media ambush. Inside the studio, Joy Behar stayed quiet. She canceled her appearances for the next few days and made no public comment. The show moved on with lighter topics, but the energy was not the same. The tension had not faded. It had settled in, and while the producers tried to steer the narrative back to normal, the internet was already deep into the debate. What really happened on that stage? Who crossed the line? And would Jennifer ever come back? The fallout had only just begun. What happened on that stage was not just a dramatic moment for TV. It was a spotlight on something deeper. Jennifer Lopez standing up for herself, live and unfiltered, became a symbol, not just of fame or celebrity control, but of how women are, often expected to stay quiet when the narrative turns against them. This was bigger than one guest walking off a show. It cracked open a conversation about how the media treats women, especially powerful ones. Especially mothers. People saw how quickly a career's worth of work could be reduced to a headline. How one quote, taken out of context, could be used to paint a person as cold or out of touch. And how easy it is for a host to shift blame onto what the public is thinking. Jennifer's response changed the energy in that room, but it also changed something for viewers at home. Women reposted the clip, saying it felt like someone finally said what they were too tired or too scared to say themselves. That moment gave a voice to everyone who had been misunderstood or misrepresented. For talk show hosts and producers, it served as a warning. The old playbook of ambush journalism does not land the same anymore. People are watching more closely. They want truth, not traps, real stories, not setups. And even weeks after it aired, the conversation had not faded. Commentators kept bringing it up. Podcasts, op-eds, Twitter threads. Because this moment reminded everyone what accountability on live television really looks like. What played out on live television was more than just a clash of personalities. It was a lesson, a reminder that truth matters more than spin, and that strength sometimes means refusing to let someone else write your story. Jennifer Lopez did not just defend herself. She stood for something bigger: dignity, self-respect, and the right to speak without being silenced or twisted. Now we want to hear from you. Was Jennifer right to stand her ground the way she did? Or should she have walked away the moment things turned personal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We are reading everyone. And if this story had you on the edge of your seat, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. There's more where this came from, more real moments, more raw confrontations, more behind-the-scenes truths you will not find anywhere else. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.